Greetings, it is I, the Dalek Emperor. Welcome to another Dalek Reacts. Today we are reacting to ranking every Dalek story, Doctor Who worst to best. This is made by Mr. TARDIS. Now, you probably about to bring up your pitchforks, and that's because Mr. TARDIS is a bit of a controversial figure in some of the Doctor Who fan base. Many love him, but some do not like his work sometimes on YouTube. Well, that's all I'm saying, yes. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be reacting to Mr. TARDIS's videos. I've actually seen some of his videos in the past. But yeah, let's have a look. All credit will go to Mr. TARDIS. Let's observe. Okay, viewers, now, just so you know, don't know if I'll be able to show footage of the video, but I will see if I can show the audio. See if I can show the audio.
Support of my patrons.
Here we go. Yeah, I'll show the audio, but I don't know if I can show the video. Exterminate. Yeah, some of this might be copyrighted, people.
Almost 60 years, Doctor Who has been on the air, and
this was made about 4 years ago.
And their iconic time travel machine are their
made in 2021.
foes, the Daleks. Now that Revolution of the Daleks has broadcast, I think it's time I revisited the ranking list at the end of 2019 and find out just where that brand new story can be placed. Now, for the sake of brevity and my sanity, I am going
Slick
to
Eddie asked me to react to this, apparently.
If you want my in-depth thoughts on each of these stories, these 25 stories, then I highly recommend going through my Dalek-Sember 20.
Yeah, I need to have a look at them then.
Mainly just to touch base. There's a playlist in the description below if you want to check those out.
Okay.
Now, before we begin, I've got a lot more big projects lined up in the near future, so if you want to keep updated with all of that, then please consider hitting subscribe, hitting that like button for more Doctor Who content.
Yeah.
Now, without any further ado, let's go from the irradiated planet Skaro to their final end, from allegiances with the Master and the Ogrons to their very genesis, from space plagues to mortuaries, the Time War and beyond. This is every televised Dalek story ranked
worst to best. Okay, interesting. What's the best?
There's a place for us.
Can I skip this?
Are you all geared up for this making tax digital thing?
Bro, skip
I keep worrying.
this.
It's something really obvious. Right? Don't worry, mate.
People.
I've got better things to do.
Worried
Bro,
about what
skip
MTD means
this.
for you? Sage makes it simpler for sole traders with helpful tax estimates. Get your free MTD software today. Search Sage MTD.
Yeah, they're free ads now.
So, anyone for Dodgems?
Oh yeah, this one wasn't good in my opinion.
I know during my Dalek-Sember ranking I said that this tied with Asylum of the Daleks, but on the day I'm writing this, I feel like I've got to give the bottom spot to this astonishingly misjudged series.
Yeah.
With an opening part that meanders, goes nowhere, and does so in the most alienating way possible before leading into a second episode with some really strong performances and great scenes, which are let down by an ending which shows that neither the Doctor or Davros meant a word of what they were saying.
Yeah, it seemed rushed.
Skaro a very selective memory on what actually
Yeah, it
happened
seemed
in
rushed
the
in my
Daleks,
opinion.
and the revelation that apparently the Dalek mutants aren't in control, but it's the casing that does all of the hating, and it makes me wonder whether or not the creative team had even watched a single Dalek story before a single line of dialogue was written.
Yep.
Boring, confusing, obnoxiously presented, and a half-hour story
Agreed.
across 2 episodes. I remember watching this on broadcast with my fiance and a friend who hadn't watched Doctor Who for a few years but was a fan, and feeling utterly embarrassed to be a fan of the show. It is intensely fitting that the final MacGuffin that puts an end to Davros and the Daleks in the story is a massive uprising of shit.
Quite convenient, yes.
Don't think that saved your life.
Asylum of the Daleks. Oh god, here we go. The nightmare that was the Asylum of the
The story for
Daleks.
being at the bottom spot is twofold. Firstly, it's only 1 episode, it's only half the length, and secondly, there are a few decent Dalek moments to be found here, though they take place with a setting and in a story that isn't structured to utilise them effectively. Whether it's an obnoxious Oswin, the return of Amy and Rory despite Series 6 giving them a satisfying departure, but finding them now divorced off-screen for the dumbest of reasons, and a promotional campaign that promised Dalek fan service...
Come on, dude. Come on, yeah. Why didn't they make it actually scary? Like, say, I don't know, in Dead Planet, they actually made the Daleks scary in that. Why not implement some of that features in Asylum?
of the Daleks stands as the absolute low point of the 11th Doctor's tenure. Its biggest lasting legacy, however, is that it ended in a way that wiped the Daleks' memory of the Doctor, despite the only
I didn't like that.
it had being that the Pepperpots had grown stronger in response to the Doctor, essentially undermining its own premise for no good reason. However, this new status quo was just thrown in the bin the next time the Doctor met them in his timeline.
Yeah.
And that's where Asylum of the Daleks belongs. In the bin.
Agreed.
Seek, locate, exterminate.
Destiny of the Daleks. Oh dear. This one.
The infamous exploding jelly baby story. I'd have loved to see what the original Terry Nation script for this 4-part serial was before Douglas Adams got his hands on it, because while his trademark wit and humour is on display when writing for Tom Baker's 4th Doctor, it really serves to undermine the show's most iconic and ruthless villains in what was their first appearance in almost 5 years. The plot itself isn't too bad, and giving the Daleks a robotic threat to fight is a proven format to work, but turning the Daleks themselves into purely logical robots who are now reliant on Davros was the beginning of the end of their dominance in the classic series.
Correct.
It could be forgiven if Davros was a threatening presence, but David Goodison never stood a chance with that recycled mask, and his dialogue...
Yeah, David Goodison wasn't a great Davros.
Slashed budget and a production coming apart at the seams, and this story, appropriately, was destined for disaster.
And they have the suicide bombing Daleks. That wasn't good.
Okay, we've gone past the Dalek stories, which I think are no good, and now we're at the ones where I feel absolutely nothing when watching them. Into the Dalek is an ideal summation of Series 8 as a whole. A decent idea, but in execution it's a meandering, missed opportunity that's not remotely as smart as it likes to think it is. Oh, and Clara slaps the Doctor, because it's funny when it happens to men, am I right? The concept of doing a Fantastic Voyage homage, but inside a hostile Dalek casing, is a great one, and I do think that Ben Wheatley's direction makes this one of the greatest looking Dalek stories ever broadcast. I mean, look at these shots, they're absolutely stunning. But in the end, we just have stock characters, wasted actors like Michael Smiley and Zor Ashton, and an ending that's just a hollow and weaker retread of 2005's Dalek. Not much more to say about this, to be honest.
Exactly.
You know, for a man who abhors violence, I must say I took great satisfaction in doing that.
If I see another bloody advertisement, I'm going to lose my mind and I'm going to destroy the universe. Please stop sending ads to my blooming video, please. Planet of the Daleks.
After making a genuinely surprising appearance alongside the Master after the slog of a six-parter that was Frontier in Space, the Daleks make their proper Season 10 appearance in Planet of the Daleks, which is... it's alright, I guess. John Pertwee's Doctor is the standout here, and the early 1970s invisibility effects are actually pretty good, but for the show's 10th anniversary year, it's hard to view this as anything other than a weaker, in-colour remake of the 1963 original Dalek series. It's not a bad story, but it's cast a too paper-thin to carry a six-parter. The invisible Dalek threat is hinted at, but it never pays off.
Yeah, nothing literally happens, they just end up getting melted by ice.
Supreme, who has absolutely no chill. I wouldn't steer fans away from this story, but there's way better classic era ones to watch.
I am your soldier.
Oh no. Mark Gatiss, what have you done to the Daleks?
I have very few issues with the opening 15 minutes of Victory of the Daleks. Winston Churchill in the World War II cabinet bases, the introduction of the Ironside soldiers invented by Edwin Bracewell, and the sense of tension and escalation as the Doctor and Amy try and find out what they're really plotting. Yeah, it's a fast-motion remake of Power of the Daleks, but it was a great change of pace after Journey's End. Then the Doctor gives his testimony, and then the wheels come flying off, as the Daleks have an immeasurably complicated plan to activate a progenitor which births a multicolored race of new Daleks. The designs in and of themselves aren't really an issue, but with a design change this radical, they needed a story to showcase their strengths, but instead they're flown circles
Tubby
by
Daleks.
They just hang around on a soundstage for half an hour yelling at the Doctor, and the Supreme can't even hit a moving target. As a standalone story, it's okay, but as a showcase for a new Dalek design, it's not fit for purpose, and I think that's why the production team immediately caved to fan backlash and brought the original designs back, which I think is a shame. If only this story...
Yep, that's why City of the Daleks was... That's why City of the Daleks, the game, was so much better.
...had given the progenitors something to do. The past 10 years of Dalek stories could have been very different.
Yep.
This is a pretty hollow victory.
There is only one form of life that matters. Dalek life.
Evil of the Daleks. David Whittaker with me, the Emperor.
Controversial pick number 1 of this ranking, as I think this is the most overrated.
Yeah, it does seem to... Yeah, it is a little bit overrated, yeah.
Doesn't inherently mean it's all bad, as there's a lot of good stuff in this second Doctor story, which initially follows the Doctor and Jamie searching for their stolen TARDIS, which becomes part of an immensely elaborate plot by the Daleks to make Jamie fight a Turkish wrestler so they can better learn about humanity's weaknesses, and no, that wasn't a joke. At 7 parts, it's way too long, with a meandering plot, but really strong characterization and a moral core with characters like Maxtable and Waterfield. Also, while the Dalek plot is overly complicated and they're defeated in the end way too easily, David Whittaker always had a knack for writing the Daleks, and I love how they're depicted here, though the Emperor, while grand and iconic, really does just stand around booming. I'm glad this story wasn't the final.
I agree, yes. He didn't really do much. Nowadays, I want an Emperor that actually does things. That's why I am basically doing everything that those Emperors failed to do. I'm doing things. I'm actually helping the Daleks out.
End for the Daleks as originally planned, because it would have been a low point for them, in my opinion. Maybe if this story gets restored and animated, I'll warm to it a bit more, but as of right now, it stays towards the bottom half of this list.
Yeah.
What do you mean, creatures?
No, not this. Oh dear God, no.
Oh, controversial pick number 2. I think this is the most underrated
I
televised.
mean, it's alright.
The last pick. Underrated doesn't necessarily mean it's all good, as things like the bad accents, a poor cut-out ending, and random pig slaves have given this story a bad reputation, and I can't really blame it. But part of me still admires it for its strong foundations at Hooverville, the fact that this explores concepts like the human factor better than evil of the Daleks, and how Dalek Sec is one of the more interesting villains of this era. I also can't get too mad at a story which stops partway through for a 1930s vaudeville dance. It doesn't stick the
the vaudeville dance.
If there was any story that was going to go big or
why?
go home, it would be a story set in the Big Apple.
When your train is really late, get help with delivery.
How does that song keep appearing in Dalek media? I do not understand why. Why is there not playing?
Coding knowledge is
Advance and attack and destroy. Destroy and rejoice.
The chase. Okay. Oh no.
The Chase is a story that needs to be approached with a very specific mindset. As the third Dalek story, it arrived during the peak of Dalek media. The Daleks were bigger than Jesus, so to
We were bigger than Jesus.
to maybe tone down all the
I'm bigger than God.
Their first outings. Writer Terry Nation and script editor Dennis Spooner approached this story as a
Dalek Mania will return, viewers. Do not worry.
It's really good. Fans immersed in the revived series may know the Daleks as a source of death and destruction and misery, but if you go from that to The Chase, you'll be greeted to an epic encounter between the Daleks, Dracula, and Frankenstein's monster, as well as the Daleks having the trippiest, most kaleidoscopic fight scene you'll ever see. All you kids out there with your London 1965 memes, but what about Fred the Dalek, who got tricked down into a sandpit and found the encounter so traumatizing that Fred spent the rest of his life in intensive care at the Dalek Asylum?
Oh,
That's
damn.
canon. Oh boy.
Wait, what?
This is a fun one. Rest in peace, Fred the Dalek.
Yeah, rest in peace, Fred. Wait, so that actually happened? Oh, damn. Oh no. Death to the Daleks.
I swear, I didn't mean to pair up stories like this, it's just how the list panned out. But here's another fun one. Though unlike The Chase, I have no idea if Death to the Daleks is intentionally funny. This is campy 70s Doctor
Yeah, it is very camp.
Most interesting, where Terry Nation, urged on by the showrunners at the time to experiment with the Daleks, decided to land them on a planet where they couldn't use their weapons and are forced to become part of the supporting cast. I wish that was taken a bit further and we spent more time with that dynamic, but the rest of the serial is no slouch either, with fun creatures and monsters giving the Daleks grief, some cool concepts and visuals,
The Excellons.
obviously cannot forget about Belial.
Which path did he take?
that one.
That way leads to death.
Episode 1 is a bit slow, but once the
It's
Daleks
been so
get
long
introduced, this story is deliriously entertaining.
Been a while. It's been so long since Excellon. I was, yeah. I think one Dalek survived on Excellon a long time ago, and has been waiting for a signal from the Emperor, but apparently, there's been no news.
Entertaining and off-kilter. It almost made me want to put it higher, but like I said, I'm not sure if these elements were deliberate, and this is of course that story with the—
Stop, don't move. Who knows? I may have helped to exterminate you.
David Daleks.
Death to the Daleks is my favourite of the Pertwee Dalek trilogy, but Day of the Daleks is the best, with the most interesting time travel plot, a decent supporting cast with the Candyman himself, Aubrey Woods, as a villain who is absolutely in a different story to everyone else, but I love him all the same, with timely and interesting political subjects, terrorism, freedom fighting, and the potential outcomes from otherwise...
Downside is a Dalek voice. I don't like the Dalek voice in it, in this one.
Underdeveloped in this alternative future, being controlled by the Daleks, who might qualify as the weakest thing about this story. Their voices are boring and terrible, yes.
All enemies of the Daleks must be destroyed.
I can see why Nicholas Briggs voiced them.
But even putting that aside, they're a bit bland here, and there's only 3 of them. It's a shame that this is their first televised colour.
I can't understand why they made their voices like that in the first place.
As well as their first outing since their initial final end 5 years previous. Still though, the story itself cements its place above its relevant competition, and oh, the Ogrons are here. What's your report?
We found and destroyed the enemy.
Any complications?
No complications.
Hello and welcome to the...
Ah, yes, the Ogrons. Why is there another ad play?
On fads.
One stretch.
Instant apps. Shredded for less.
Daleks, be warned. You have declared war upon the Cybermen. This is not war. This is pest control.
Okay, this selection is pretty complicated, because while the Daleks made their splash halfway through the Series 2 two-part finale, it was a splash that made tidal waves that swallowed up everything around them, including the poor mistreated Cybermen who never stood a chance when being penned by Russell T Davies, who is clearly playing favourites.
Yeah.
The Daleks even forced the split of the 10th Doctor and Rose to the resounding cheers of the audience. Doomsday introduces us to the cult of Skaro, led by Dalek Sec, and it was a great way to continue the trend of the revived series by giving us honest-to-God characters inside of these metal tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Those Armored Ghost and Doomsday were they were okay episodes. How the heck did we come from Doomsday to Reality War?
These are Daleks with bite and a bad attitude, with their gall to hijack another species' invasion plans.
How is this the same person who did Reality War?
The cult of Skaro.
What is happening, man? What's happening with Russell T Davies?
You are superior in only one respect.
What is that?
You are better at dying.
This is Mark Coy, Special Security Service reporting from the planet Kemble. The Daleks are planning the complete destruction of our galaxy.
Daleks Master Plan. Kemble. Ah, yes.
Yes, it's a cliche to point it out, but 12 episodes for a story is way too long, and that doesn't even include the Mission to the Unknown prequel episode, making it 13. This story could have been a 10 out of 10 every week, and it still would have dragged, but the Daleks' Master Plan's 3-month streak, as it is a bit shaky, and the less said about Feast of Stephen, the better.
But a strange man kept telling me to take my clothes off.
Come along, we must go back to the TARDIS. This is a madhouse. It's all full of animals. Come along.
That being said,
wait, what?
This is a wild and very where the Doctor, Stephen and Katerina stumble across a Dalek plot to destroy the universe, and along the way join forces with Nicholas Courtney as Brett Vian, G. Marsh as Sarah Kingdom, encounter the meddling monk and come head to head with one of the biggest villains of the era, Kevin Stoney as Mavic Chen. This is easily the largest story in the history of the show, that in terms of scope, stakes and locations visited is still unmatched. It's just way too long, with a lot of padding and running around with very little momentum. If this ever does get animated or the missing 9 episodes are found, there is an incredible 10 out of 10 abridged version of this story, a re-edit that clocks in at 2 hours waiting to be made. But at nearly 5 hours, nah mates, just conquer the universe or get off the pot, okay?
Identify Dalek. Incorrect.
Revolution of the Daleks. Yeah. That's one of the good things about Chibnall. He knew about how to make Dalek episodes.
And as is the case for many episodes of this era,
I'm impressed with his Dalek episodes.
It finds itself stuck in the middle, close to greatness, but strange and dumb decisions wind up holding it back, like a slow...
The fact that this is 12 is pretty cool.
Opener, which goes nowhere, and an overly complicated conspiracy plan from both the evil fascist creatures and also the Daleks. But once it gets going, it really gets going, with some incredible set pieces, wonderful iconic visuals, and I do love how Chris Chibnall characterises these Daleks as malicious, perverse aliens whose biggest strength and biggest weaknesses are their broken principles. It's a great extension of stories like Remembrance of the Daleks, and while I really wish it had taken its political themes and allegories significantly further, I think this is a solid, festive special.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. It's what the Daleks needed. And another fucking ad. I can't even skip this. Seriously? Another ad?
The children of time are
Oh no, not this.
but everything is falling into place.
Stolen Earth and Journey's End. Oh dear.
While this was one of the biggest stories ever told in the
history, it was alright. Wasn't the best in my opinion.
Departure yet. Its place at number 11 in this list is almost exclusively down to its first part. The
first part, yes, Journey's End kind of...
This story has the guts
kind of rushed it
through the actual thing. On a
I think,
Earth that is
it's like...
helpless to fight off the threat.
It's like the moment, the moment the reality bomb was about to be prepared, it just decided, oh, we're reaching too hard to end the universe. Let's dial it back and let's destroy everything we set up for Stolen Earth.
All the Doctor's companions band together to make the most dramatic phone call in the history of TV. The Daleks are genuinely scary here, and Julian Bleach is immense.
Yeah, Julian Bleach is good as Davros, isn't he?
In a story that gives him a lot to do, but doesn't drag down the Daleks and turn them into pawns to make it happen. However, with the Daleks climbing up so high, they had way further to fall, as they're eventually defeated with a few button presses and a spinning party. They weren't even defeated by the main cast, as the vast majority of the returning Children of Time get sidelined with nothing to do. Journey's End was full to bursting, but the Stolen Earth was incredible.
I can see why Reality War was made.
TV with a world-shaking cliff.
Because it happened twice. No, not twice. 3 times. For Giggle, it was... For RTD2, yeah, it was the Giggle, and then he was easily defeated by a bowling ball. But by a ball, by a game of catch. Then Sutek, it was... Everything was set up for Legend of Ruby Sunday, but it all fell apart because Sutek was taken for walkies. And then Reality War and Wish World. My goodness, what the hell was going on there? Yeah. started a good setup. Set up Barani, set up Omega, but immediately just fell apart. This is the catalyst of what was to come. This is why Rusty Davis's finales were terrible. Oh God. Yeah, this is why.
But I think a top 10 spot is reserved for stories where the Daleks are themselves standing out for the majority of the run.
This is why RTD. This is how Reality War came to be, people. This is the catalyst to how Reality War fumbled the bag so much. Ah, what is happening?
On a story level, I can't stand the confusion in my mind either when watching Resurrection of the Daleks. It's an impregnable serial with about...
I'm hoping this special actually does things that are actually goddamn perfect and not like... It's... What should I call it? It's the Stolen Earth Journey's End curse. I hope it doesn't get affected by that.
50 plot threads going in different directions, and if the Daleks had just focused on one of those plots to conquer the universe, they might have actually won. But what this story has going for it is the incredible wit and trademark pessimism of writer Eric Saward, who breathes fresh life into the Daleks and their malevolent creator Davros, now played by the incredible Terry
Malloy.
The plot is an absolute mess, but while it might be grim to the point of being overly excessive, its pessimism and disregard for all of its cast makes it strangely profound. Like, this is appropriate for a Dalek story during the Fifth Doctor's final days. With a body count larger than most horror movies and strong performances at its core, Resurrection of the Daleks is a pretty unforgettable Dalek story, even though when watching it, you'll have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
Time to go, but need extra time? Swap your train with Train Swap.
They do like to annoy me with ads, don't they? They do like to annoy me with ads, don't they? They do like to annoy me with goddamn ads. Resolution of the Daleks by Chris Chibnall. Yes, I remember this one.
Another Dalek...
Yeah, Resolution was better.
Resolution serves as a more satisfying Series 11 finale than the actual Series 11 finale with the Battle of
Run score of Carlos.
And fan service. Chibnall brought the Pepper Pot back to basics by, ironically, removing this one from its pot and showing that just one Dalek on its own is still incredibly dangerous and powerful. And this reconnaissance scout is particularly malicious.
Yeah, it's really good.
Itself to a human's back and managing to build itself a new person from Sheffield steel. This Dalek is a wonderful...
See, this is what I need for, like, Reality One. Like, Russell D. Davis works when there's, like, a competent team around him.
Villainous character.
Otherwise it's gonna fall apart. It's gonna get the Journey's End curse.
Moments of any Dalek story.
Allocated surrender period has expired. Consequence extermination.
The microwave solution is a bit dumb, and while I do admire the subplot between Ryan and his dad and how it ties into the New Year's Day theme, as well as being the best performance Tosin Cole has given on this show, it's so separate from the Dalek story that it not only feels like it's a different show, but it's a different genre. It's not as ambitious as its sequel story, Revolution of the Daleks, but it feels like the tighter and better
Even the Dalek was... It was good, it was alright.
This is a really strong episode, and I'm glad that Jodie Whittaker did get a great Dalek story during her otherwise mixed tenure.
Yeah, it was mixed, yeah.
But did you bother to tell anyone they might be eating their own relatives?
That would have created what I believe is termed consumer resistance.
Ah, yes, Revelation of the Daleks. I remember this.
Fan consensus has this story ranked highly in the 6th Doctor's
Really?
and to be honest, I'm inclined to agree. And this isn't just a potential case of a good story amongst a bad bunch. Revelation of the Daleks is a fascinating and often enthralling two-parter. It's not a very good Dalek story, as they have really just become loud grunts at this point, but Eric Saywood's wonderful script compensates by giving us a much more subdued and methodical portrayal of Davros, who has basically taken over a funeral home and is holding businesses hostage by being the main supplier of food throughout the galaxy. It's fascism through a
turning humans into food.
Plays host to some of the most entertaining duos and character partnerships of the 80s, with almost every character getting some sort of polar opposite counterpart to play off of. It's well directed by Graham Harper, its music is chilling, and while there really is no reason to lure the Doctor here and drop a statue on him with fake blood, but seriously, I've forgotten my point. What was that all about? Colin Baker also gives a fine turn as this controversial incarnation. Also, there's a scene where a Dalek is destroyed by a concentrated beam of rock and roll, and that's just wonderful.
Yeah. See, yeah, here's the thing about Jodie Whittaker and Colin Baker, and here's the thing about Ncuti Gatwa when it comes to controversial. It wasn't really him who was controversial, it was most of the episodes he was in that were controversial. It's a writing. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame. Oh no, not this. Oh no, not this one.
We go from the wonderful to the grim, as this story was way darker than I remembered it being.
Yeah, what?
The story opens with a brainwashed Robo-Man committing suicide.
Yeah, but it wasn't great, this one, in my opinion.
As a sign reading that it's forbidden to dump bodies in the river is hung in the background, and honestly, it just gets darker from there. This is a bleak 6-parter that cemented the Daleks' legacy on 1960s television and proved that Terry Nation and his creations were not just a fluke. Now, the Daleks' plan in and of itself is total nonsense. The Black Dalek Slither creature is unfortunate, but we do get stunning shots.
Once again, it was rushed. It was too easy. It's like everyone was on easy mode.
Pop culture was at that time for Doctor Who's very first on-location shoots. I do think the
I don't want to say this is another precursor to the events that were to come in Reality War. By that I mean the writing events, but yeah, and like, did Russell T Davies write this?
Peter Cushing movie is paced better and the action and effects are understandably better executed, but this is a really solid watch and caps off with the first ever companion departure, and still to this day, it's one of the best and most heart-wrenching.
Yeah. Someday I shall come back, yes.
The only interest we have in the Thals is their total
examination. Yeah, I don't like the Dalek voices in this one. The Daleks, yeah, I don't like the voices in that one. They don't sound like Daleks.
Nostalgia does not play a role here. The original The Daleks story from 1963 is still a terrific, moody, and often unsettling watch. This was obviously before the Daleks could just coast along on name recognition from audiences, so it is fascinating to see them really excel and stand on their own as threatening and unhinged villains, a parallel of the Nazis and the far right less than 20 years after the end of the Second World War. This was still fresh. Their introductory cliffhanger is great, their interplay with our 4-person TARDIS team is fascinating to see unfold, and while the Thals are a bit generic,
yeah, they are a bit generic.
The city through the caves is laborious and brings the pacing to a screeching halt. This is one of the best black and white era stories. It really does stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have much more to say about it, other than it, just being a bit long at 7 parts, but if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend doing so. These bins didn't start a whole cultural movement on their own, Their first story was brilliant.
This senseless, evil killing.
Say hello to Sub Yay. Weekly app deals to make you go, yay. Subway, TDC's
Another bloody ad.
Happy days, happy days.
Be better.
Really? Another ad. Another ad.
Discover expertly selected products that help calm your mind. Holland and Barrett.
Hello, Jodie Whittaker. Can I watch a video, please?
Me? The doctor? What's the matter? Don't you recognize your mortal enemy?
Oh, yes. Remembrance of the Daleks.
Doctor Who's 25th season opened with a bang. Quite literally. Even to this day, Remembrance of the Daleks stands as one of the most deliriously entertaining and action-packed stories in the show.
Yes.
And this was during a time when public support for the show was waning, and its budget was at an all-time low. But it doesn't just stop there, as Ben Aronovich's brilliant script gives this story an appropriate amount of reverence for not only the show's past, but also its untold future, with this being the beginning of the ill-fated Cartmel Master Plan. It's an appropriate start to the plan, as this really was when Sylvester McCoy found his groove and hit his stride, in no small part due to being paired with the explosive personality of Ace, played by the iconic Sophie Aldred. Whilst prior companions ran and hid from the Daleks, she charges into the fight. Its portrayal of Davros feels like a...
We need to bring Andrew... No, we don't need to bring Andrew Cartmel.
And intelligent insight into the 1960s racism due to shifting cultural trends, and how, in this case, the Daleks weren't the only fascists to worry about on the streets of London. Timely, powerful, and incredibly entertaining. If for some reason you have watched zero classic era stories, this is one of the best and most accessible jumping on points, and one of, if not the best, story of the 1980s.
Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust.
You would make a good Dawn.
Ah, yes, but I'm Dr. Robert Sherman. We need Robert Sherman back, people.
We go from the Daleks' last appearance in the 20th century.
We need Robert Sherman back to do Dalek stories.
Themselves in a new era of television.
Why didn't Robert Sherman make Stolen Earth and Jenny's End?
That thought they couldn't.
We just need one person to make Dalek stories, Robert Sherman.
Decided to take that perception and use it against its old and new audience by taking a single Dalek, a survivor of the Time War, and giving it a massive upgrade.
Correct.
It can fly, swivel its midsection, withstand bullets, and that plunger is now a deadly tool.
What you gonna do? Sucker me to death?
Yes.
But it also gave the Dalek a conscience through the touch of Rose Tyler, and while it ponders its actions and thought process that's inherent to its mutant biology, the Dalek can't stand the compromise, and would rather destroy itself than become something new and something better. Oh yeah, and it's also one of the most well-directed episodes of the show, with one of Christopher Eccleston's most fiercely powerful and intimidating performances, as he charges headlong into the Survivors Guild that he's barely even managed to comprehend yet, as the wounds are still so raw. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can't wait for the upcoming Target novelization.
Indeed.
Why do human beings kill human beings?
Power of the Daleks. Of course. David Whittaker.
While writer Terry Nation created the Daleks and ensured their longevity in the programme, I do think a great debt is owed to writer David Whittaker, who managed to evolve them as villains and characters in their own right, as this debut story for Patrick Troughton wisely pitted this brand new Doctor against a familiar foe. I mean, if the Daleks acknowledge this guy as their mortal enemy, the Doctor, then the audiences can too, right? Instead of trying to conquer the universe, the Daleks are disarmed and forced to be covert, as a small group of them are reactivated after being found in a capsule on the planet Vulcan. They manage to abuse the power struggle in the colony and manipulate the team against one another. All the while, the Doctor, Ben, and Polly are desperately trying to convince them that the threat of the Daleks is real, and when they arrive in a terrifying finale. It's a 6-part story, but it flies by. The Daleks are smartly written.
Daleks conquer and destroy is...
It's a shame the story is missing, but the animated recreation does its job.
Yep. Daleks conquer and destroy isn't just a phrase that Daleks say. It is the phrase that Daleks say. Thanks to the brilliant work done by David Whittaker, ready to teach these human beings the law of the Daleks. The Great Exterminator. Ah, yes. All hail the Emperor. Screw it, I'm putting that as number 1 in my opinion.
This and power of the Daleks around.
It's got me in it, that's why.
Parting of the Ways is the better.
Yeah, it's got me in it.
The Parting of the Ways is a story with immeasurable sentimental value to me, but the Daleks are more interesting villains than the power of the Daleks. So what do?
How can RTD make Parting of the Ways, then make Reality War? What's going on? It's like they tried to recreate Parting of Ways with Empire of Death, and look where that went.
Well, I thought it was worth looking at it from another perspective, how the Daleks are the exact opposite of the Doctor, and the best stories are the ones that bring the best out of the renegade Time Lord, and in that respect, The Parting of the Ways edges out with The Silver Man, with an emotionally gripping 2-part finale, which culminates with the Doctor putting his hands on another big red button to wipe out the Daleks and another race, but after everything he's been through over the past series, he can't bring himself to do it again. I've talked about this story to death, but its reputation is more than earned. It's genuinely scary, hilarious when appropriate. I love the cast. The Emperor Dalek does more than just stand in a room yelling, unlike his 1960s counterpart, and I
manipulate. I control the situation, basically. I'm very good at doing more than just sitting around in my throne and exacerbate. No. I break the Doctor. I always have broken the Doctor. Which is why I'm a better villain than Davros ever could, in my opinion. Yes, I know Davros is cool and that, but I'm actually a way more threatening villain than Davros ever was. As you can see, in certain moments where I'm the main threat, I am more threatening than Davros. Yeah, I'm a better villain, and that is why I'm in control, and Davros is somewhere skulking around in his room or something. That is why I am a better villain than Davros. And you can quote me that all day. I am the god of all Daleks is not just a word. It is my word, my ambition. What leads me to be the god of all Daleks. Daleks believe in me. I need to review Parting of Ways so I can just explain to you how brilliant I am as the Emperor of the Daleks one day.
Oh, I have the right.
Yep. Tell me if you want me to review Parting of Ways, viewers. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, I know, it's a cliche,
Yeah,
but
Genesis. Yeah, Genesis.
I don't believe in contrarianism for the sake of it. Some stories have a reputation for a reason, and there's a reason that Genesis of the Daleks is the monolith that it is. It casts a massive shadow, but it walks the walk with an incredibly somber story about a civilization
but Parting of Ways talks it.
hiding in a bunker, being forced by the worst amongst them to become the embodiment of hatred, led by their tyrannical chief scientist Davros, played by the unmatched Michael Wisher.
I am the ultimate tyrant.
Of being both subdued and terrifying and loud and random.
Davros is definitely through the years has definitely become a lot more weaker than I previously expected. Which is why Parting of Ways shows that there can be better villains than Davros, such as me. I am a better villain than Davros.
All of the cast are memorable, but it's important that we get to know this broken civilization.
This channel was made because of that episode.
This story was broadcast in 1975, but it is still incredibly timely and relevant. After the world has recently been suitably reminded just how easy a democracy could succumb to outright fascism without the correct institutions in place, Genesis of the Daleks is way smarter and more interesting and complex than it has any right to be, especially for a family show, and a story this early in Tom Baker's era, but already his moral fibre is being extensively challenged. While some episodes do drag around the middle, its atmospheric Seventh Seal opening to its nail-biting conclusion are peak Doctor Who, and it is, without question, the best Doctor Who Dalek story.
Yes, agreed.
Hey folks, thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, that's really good. Sadly, I wasn't able to show the footage of the video, but it was fun. But yes, I have to commend the brilliance that was Parting of Ways. Parting of Ways and Bad Wolf, those two defined my channel. They are the reason why I upload till this day, because I am the god of all Daleks, and the Daleks will respect me as a better villain than Davros. Which, clearly, as you have seen on my channel, I am. And I will make a review of Parting of Ways myself to solidify the fact that the Emperor of the Daleks truly is the god of all Daleks and of YouTube. Farewell. Thank you, Mr. TARDIS, for making it farewell. Thanks all for the enjoyable video today. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Dalek Empire, or you will be exterminated. There will be no resistance. I am